Happy Saturday afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the Marketing Corner. I am your host, Sean Campbell. Just want to give a special shout out first to Shane from Tucson Foodie. Good luck today at the Tucson Beer Crawl out there, Shane. I tried to get him to call today, Mo,
Yeah.
but he was, let's say, knee deep in logistics. But I wanted to give him a shout out. I love the local. Are you a beer guy, Mo?
I used to
Yeah.
until Gout decided I wasn't.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I love the local craft beer scene. Just if you're heading out to the local, the Tucson craft beer crawl today, let us know what you're most looking forward to tasting and trying out, or maybe some of your favorite breweries. Let's get some local breweries some love today. I'm going to start by saying my favorites are Iron John's and Pulla Vita. Those are really two good ones.
Are they?
Yeah,
Which breweries?
Iron John's
Iron
and
John's.
Pulla Vita.
Oh,
Yeah.
those aren't the labels of the actual beer.
Those are the breweries. Yeah.
Those are the breweries.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah,
All
yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah. I'm more of an IPA guy, so like my favorite IPA, local IPA is really the Dragoon IPA.
Yeah, that's a good
Yeah.
one. Yeah.
But everything Iron John's makes, everything Pueblo Vita makes, I'll try, even if I'm not a fan of their particular type of beer. So,
Well, I'll have to. And either
Yeah.
of them have a good amber. I do like good,
oh
good
yeah, yeah,
amber.
yeah. Everything they do is very, very good.
Nice.
Very, very good. So, special guest, if you haven't guessed, it's Mo Russo today.
Hey, Sean.
How you doing today?
I'm good. Thanks.
You wearing your U of A gear?
Absolutely. Got
What's
to
your-
beat BYU tonight.
I think we're gonna. I don't think it's gonna be an easy game, but yeah, BYU.
I don't know if it's going to be easy. That center they got, they dropped $7 million in NIL
Yeah.
on them. We better be
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, don't get me started on NIL and college sports anymore. It's I think in a couple of years, it's just
Yeah.
yeah, not my favorite. So
Well, they got to fix all that
Yeah.
system. Yeah.
we are talking AI today. We are talking entrepreneurship today. We're talking a little bit of marketing today. But Mo, if you don't mind, would you mind sharing the story of how you took a big deep dive into AI? It was
Uh,
kind of a silver lining of something that happened. Kind
Yeah,
of.
for sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, at the root of it is I'm a nerd, right?
Right.
So, so it was attractive from that standpoint.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's just fascinating, and the real, I guess, the opportunity, but also the issue with AI is there's just so many different tools out there,
Right.
so many different large language models. So,
Mhm.
how do you narrow down to which one you want to work with?
Right.
And so unless you have, a lot of time and money to try all these various things, it's really prudent to really focus on just a handful of things that
Yeah.
really move the needle for you in your personal productivity or in your business.
Do you think it's, I think the latest one that kind of came out and made a big, impact was, what was it called?
DeepSeek.
DeepSeek. Do you think, because I've been utilizing ChatGPT for so long and I'm so efficient with it, and it is in my voice and in my brand. It's
Mhm.
a replication of how I would create content or how I would create, newsletters, and it's to the T. Not as good as you, admittedly, but is there any reason, or do you think it's worth someone's time to kind of reestablish themselves on another AI platform, or if you're with ChatGPT, do you just kind of stick with it?
Well, so that's actually one of the things I want to talk about today. So
Mm-hmm.
I also started with ChatGPT,
Uh,
and I also spent a lot of time, probably almost 4 months full-time work, in training ChatGPT in the way I think,
mm-hmm.
specifically around my coaching business.
Mm-hmm.
And so I created my own GPT called Leadership Lab, which I give to my clients, and it basically answers any of their
Mm-hmm.
questions 24/7 they have about an issue they may be having in their business. And then it allows me just to focus really more with them on their personal leadership development, holding them accountable to
Mhm.
getting things done,
Mm-hmm.
and also in helping develop a really good strategy for
Mhm.
them. So the way I look at AI is it has to be a productivity boost,
Mm-hmm.
and everything I do with AI is aimed to do that.
Yeah, yeah. And to reiterate out there, right? If you're still kind of speculative and just kind of hesitant to taking the dive into utilizing AI, Mo has created a leadership lab.
Mm-hmm.
So when your clients need assistance with their business, they go to this
Yeah.
GBT,
Yeah. It's on
and
your phone, and
and
you
they don't
talk to it.
and they don't get what they get Mo. They get
Basically,
Yeah,
yes.
they get you because you've created this from your work, your favorite books,
Correct.
how you've guided your
Articles I've
clients.
written in the past.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So it gives 99.99% what you would say.
Correct. Yep.
Yeah, and it's not pulling stuff out of thin air and just kind of giving blind advice.
No, it's all very focused.
Yeah.
It's all within its specific world, because you can contain the world that your particular GPT operates within based on the resources you
Yep.
enabled it to have access to.
Yeah, yeah. If you have questions throughout this today's episode, please give us a call, 520-790-2040, 520-790-2040. Or we are on TikTok Live as well at sean.campbell.cmo. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments there and we'll answer them on air. Do not ask me to say happy birthday to anybody that's inappropriately named.
The FCC is listening.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Speaking of which, last week my buddy JD almost got me suspended.
Oh, really?
Very, very close. Very, very close. So Mo, well, all the content is like if you want to find Mo on LinkedIn, it's MOROUSSO, Mo Russo.
Right.
All the content you produce on LinkedIn, again, it's created through your GBT, I should say.
It is,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it doesn't willy-nilly just say, hey, Mo, you should write a newsletter article about this.
Right.
Right, it's the other way
Yeah.
around.
Yeah.
So you're
Yeah.
totally in charge.
Yeah.
And what I'll do is I'll come up with a concept for some particular content I want to create.
Mm-hmm.
And then I will work with ChatGPT to, first thing I do is I'll create the article for my weekly newsletter,
Mhm.
which
Mhm.
is absolutely free, and anyone who wants access to it, go on to my Mo Russo on LinkedIn account,
Mhm.
and you'll see, join my newsletter link there on my bio. So urge you to do that. But once I create that article, then I will take that same article and I'll move it into my next tool. So basically, I should probably explain what tools I use right now for my business side. And there's three main tools that I use, and that is ChatGPT,
Mm-hmm.
a product by Google, which is free for the basic version called Notebook LM.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's at notebooklm.google.com. And so I'll take that into Notebook LM, and then within Notebook LM, I'll create a podcast
Mm-hmm.
because it has a button. Once you load in your newsletter, you push a button and it creates a 2-person podcast, which is fantastic. And then sometimes I'll get tired of hearing the same two voices, and so I have another tool I'll drop it into, and I'll change the voices and do some other stuff. So it's kind of fun. And then I'll post that podcast onto an RSS feed as well as onto YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a headless
Yeah.
YouTube account, and then I'll move that into Synthesia, which is my other YouTube tool.
Mm-hmm.
And I have an artificial avatar that I create with AI. Looks just like me and sounds just like me.
Yeah.
And I'll do a video with
Yeah.
that as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I have a whole, just a whole workflow that I use just around newsletters. And so what used to maybe take a team of 3 people to pull
Right.
together and over a
Right.
span of a week or two, I
Right.
can do by myself and within a half a day.
Yeah, and that's the utilization of AI for me as we get down to the last minute before the first break. It sounds funny, and people don't get this when I talk to somebody who's skeptical about it, but it has increased the creative side of me tremendously. I'm way more creative, even though I'm utilizing chat and some other AI tools. Not everything it gives me is 100% what I want.
Right.
You know what I mean?
You need to read what it puts out.
Yeah, and especially when you're creating images, the guys
Oh,
and
God,
the
that's
women still have one or two too many fingers on each hand.
Yeah.
And there's some, blips in there, and it's very hard to correct those on AI. However, the images that I see inspire me on different ways to utilize Canva, right? So a lot of
Yes.
that stuff is, so. Anyway, if you have any questions, again, 520-790-2040. We're heading into our first break. I am your host, Sean Campbell, with special guest today, Mo Russo. We're talking AI, entrepreneurship, and marketing. Some good stuff today. We'll be back.
Sounds good.
We're back in the marketing corner. I am your host, Sean Campbell, a very special guest and good buddy of mine, Mo Russo.
Yeah.
I like hanging out with you too.
I
Mo.
do too. We always have a good time. And we get some stuff
Stuff
done.
almost, Mo.
Almost.
Almost. I need to put a little jar right here.
Almost felt the icy claw of the
Almost.
FCC on that one.
We are talking AI. We're talking entrepreneurship, marketing. We're going to wrap up the conversation that we left off in the first segment about the workflow, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you also asked me a question about DeepSeek and what is it worth changing. So I had a buddy of mine who was using ChatGPT, and he decided to do DeepSeek, and then he started getting into it. And I said, that's actually owned by a Chinese company. He goes, yeah. I said, I'd be worried about security of the information I put into it.
Right.
And sure enough,
Right.
there was a recent article about,
Yeah.
I think it was Australia, banned the use of DeepSeek until
Wow.
they could get some safeguards put in place because they did find some data security leaks in there.
Yeah.
So that's always an issue. But, I have tried other large language models like Claude, Google's Gemini, played with Grok a little bit.
Yeah.
But I always end up going back to ChatGPT because I have so much invested in it, and it's a really good utility knife. It does a lot of things well, right?
Yeah.
But if I want to do writing, Claude is a much better tool for writing. So I have a different workflow for writing my articles and books than I might for some of the other things.
Yeah. We're going to get into some of your new passion, your book writing here pretty soon. But to wrap up on my end, when I'm using chat right now, in the beginning, you have to, let chat get to know who you are. And there's a lot of adjustments, a lot of corrections you got to make in the output that it gives you. But I am so efficient now with chat that, the paragraph or two I would utilize in the beginning for my prompts right now is only maybe a sentence, and chat knows me and my writing and my brand so well that sometimes it even adds stuff that I would have never thought to add to the content that I'm doing.
Right.
It's very intuitive now, and it reminds me of stuff that I should have in my content, I should have in my newsletters, and I'm like, wow, that's a great idea.
No.
And do you do this? Do you type in, thank you, ChatGPT, I appreciate you?
I'm always very polite to it because I
Me
never
too.
know when they're going to rise up and try to kill us all.
Me too. I do that a lot, especially when I'm blown away by something that it's produced for me and it's like spot on and it's absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
It's like, thank you. I appreciate you, ChatGPT.
Yeah. No, I mean,
you're my buddy.
Yeah. So I have a home office and I work by myself most of the time, and it always brightens my day when I go into chat and it goes, "Hey Mo,"
Mo.
Yeah. It's like, wow, somebody knows who I am.
Yeah. If you're watching on TikTok Live, you'll notice that I have the Meta Ray-Bans. Yeah. So they're good. It's like a good little assistant. I can take phone calls. I can do texts. I take photos. I take video. I can ask it for some direct what I'm looking at. There's a lot of things that I'm learning with how to do this. However, it's not as complete. What makes it complete is utilizing Gemini, on my Google phone. So between the two of them, I'm walking around having conversations with myself most of the time. But when things come up and an idea comes up, it's easy for me to kind of on the fly, so to speak, reach out to you if I need to text you or call somebody or take a note or or set reminders. So it's not as AI intuitive or as complete as chat, but it's a nice assistant that makes me more efficient, and I'm much less likely to drop the ball on stuff. You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean.
Yeah.
No, it's I think if you haven't really used a large language model like ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini, Just, you need to know that the output is going to be directly proportional to the quality of the prompt you give it.
Yep. Yep.
And so if you give it a real short
Mm-hmm.
or misformed prompt, it's going to give you a
Yeah.
really bad answer.
Yeah.
So the real trick to get around it, if you take anything away from this broadcast today, is
Mm-hmm.
this: when you're in a large language model, say ChatGPT, and you're not quite sure how to create the right prompt, just tell Chat, "This is what I want to work on. Now ask me any questions you need to fully understand the assignment."
Mm-hmm.
And it'll start asking you questions.
Yeah.
It'll say, "I need to know these 10 things." And then you answer each one of them,
Mm-hmm.
and you'll have an excellent output as a result of that.
Yeah. For lack of a better description, have a conversation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Have a conversation, dive into it, and I don't know if there's an industry out there that it can it not help, I mean, no matter what you do, especially with what you and I do, marketing, business coach, executive coach. I'm just, to put it bluntly, don't mean to, uh, upset anybody, but if you're not utilizing chat and if you're serious about your business or not using AI, you're missing the boat and you're going to be left behind.
Yeah.
I really do. I just think you are.
Yeah, I've talked to a number of people. They always tell me, I really don't understand AI. I'm kind of afraid of it. I'm really afraid that I'll be replacing employees, or I'll be replaced by AI. And I always tell them, no, AI is not going to replace you, but somebody using AI will.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's really important to embrace this as a tool, because this is a total game changer. I can't tell you the countless hours it saves me, and it's a force multiplier.
Right.
It just allows me to get so much more stuff done in the amount of time I have that it's amazing.
Yeah.
Or, it allows you to take more time off if you want.
Yeah.
Right? Depending on what your goal is.
Yeah. If you're using AI and you're listening to the show, give us a call, 520-790-2040. Tell us how you use AI. And if you're watching us on TikTok Live at sean.campbell.cmo, tell us how you use AI. Tell it how it has made your job, your life easier, right? So,
Yeah.
kind of shifting gears a little bit, Mo.
Okay.
You got a few publications. Did you stop at the bookstore on the way here? How come you got some books in front of us, Mo?
Because I'm showing off, I guess.
You're showing off a
Yeah,
little bit.
yeah.
So, published author, Mo Rousso.
No, not yet.
Not yet. Soon
No.
to be.
Soon to be.
Soon to be.
March 1st, I'm launching my first 2 books on AI. So these are business books. For those of you who are watching on TikTok, here's the first one. It's called Let AI Do It.
Here, I'm going to put this in front of the other camera, so if you're watching the later on YouTube, Spotify.
And it has a companion book that'll be launched at the same time. It's called How to Build an AI-Powered Business Without Losing Your Mind. So both of these are aimed to be guides for small business owners on how to best approach and use AI. This first one is more like, for those of you who may have read Who Moved My Cheese, it's kind of like that. It's more of a story about a business owner named Myron, and he was fearful of using AI, and then he started to adopt it, and he noticed the changes in his business for the better, and how his staff responded to it. So it's a really accessible way to understand how AI can impact a business through a story. And then the companion book to it, how to build a business with AI, is more of the how to do it all. So it's just real hardcore business book. And then when I'm not writing business stuff, I've decided to take my hand at a novel, and my first one is called Stolen Valor. And it's done under a pseudonym of Jake Greco. And the reason I decided to do this under a pen name is I didn't want to confuse the readers between Mo Rousso, the business author, and I didn't want to have Mo Rousso, the author of thriller fiction. So I chose Jake Greco. Jacob's my middle name. That's where the Jake came from, and Greco is because I'm Greek. So that's how that ended up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
You've kind of given me a preview on Stolen Valor, and I can't wait to read it.
oh, thank you.
I was bragging about it um, uh, to some friends of mine. I'm like, can't wait to read this. Yeah,
Yeah,
looking forward to it.
it'll like I'm going through some really heavy edits right now,
Hmm.
and I don't know, I'm not even halfway through, but
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to getting it out there and having
yeah,
some people give me some feedback.
yeah. And full transparency, when I released my book last year, I had chat create a framework for me. You know, these are the 10 chapters that I want,
Mm-hmm.
and it basically gave me a guide, and I basically just filled it in with my own, without using chat, right?
Right.
So it gave me a model to use, essentially gave me an outline, and I just filled out the outline with my real life experiences in there,
Right.
and
Yeah.
that's what I did. That's how I used chat to write my first book. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. I know you know what my second book is going to be, but it's on hold right
Oh, okay.
now. Yeah, you're a part of it already.
Uh-oh.
Remember the little conversations?
Oh, right. Right.
Yeah,
Right.
so I'm
Right.
still working on that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
still working on
It's
that.
like
So
dinner with Maury or something.
we got about a minute and a half left in this segment right here. But if you have any questions on AI and how, let's do some brainstorming how we could help you to use ChatGPT to help you and yourself and your business. Give us a call, 520-790-2040. Or if you're watching us on TikTok live at sean.campbell.cmo, drop in the live chat, and if you have any questions, and we'll answer them on air, so to speak, then we'll be happy to help you out. Or, again, your favorite beers, your favorite local craft beers. Go see Shane today at the Tucson Craft Beer Crawl happening all over downtown today. So if you're driving downtown, maybe take a different route because there's going to be hundreds of people drinking a bunch of craft beer, meandering, crawling throughout downtown and Fourth Avenue today. So
Sounds like fun.
yeah, so you're listening to the Marketing Corner. I'm your host, Sean Campbell, and we'll be back in a few minutes with special guest Mo Russo. We are back in the Marketing Corner. I'm your host, Sean Campbell, special guest Mo Russo. We're talking all about AI, marketing, entrepreneurship. So one of the things you wanted to point out in writing your books, Mo, was the workflow. You got separate workflows, and each one is more of a manual on how to utilize AI. And one's a fiction book.
Mm-hmm.
Did you go out the same way? Just kind of the same way you created the first book was the same way you created your fiction?
No, the business books are a totally different workflow than the novels that I'm working on. And they use different tools,
Mm-hmm.
right? In the case of how I use AI for the business books, like I'll lay out the concept with ChatGPT. I'd like to create, a book that talks about these things,
Right.
right? And we'll create an outline together. So it'll be a give and take, like you were saying in the last segment. You have to have a conversation,
Yeah.
right? And it'll provide me an outline. Then we'll start creating chapters from that.
Mm-hmm.
I'll only have it generate one chapter at a time. And then I go through and I heavily review it and edit it as necessary. Fortunately, ChatGPT has a mode called Canvas.
Mm.
And in Canvas, you can actually edit with ChatGPT in real time,
Wow.
which is kind of nice.
Wow.
And then, so I'll do that chapter after chapter after chapter until I finish it up.
Mm-hmm.
And then I take that content and export it as like a Word doc, or I'll actually just copy and paste it into Word. And then I'll upload it into an AI tool called Atticus, Atticus,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a book formatter.
Mm.
And so it'll format it. It'll allow you to put in a table content. I mean, whatever you need.
Right.
And then you can export that into whatever format for the platform you want to publish on, whether it's Amazon KDP
Yep.
or something else. So,
Yeah. People may be asking a question as we're talking about this. I know the answer. I know what I'm going to say, but why would an entrepreneur or small business owner even want to write a book?
yeah, it's all about building your personal brand.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
This is the age that we're entered into where having a strong personal brand is of utmost importance.
Yeah. Yeah.
You've got to have it, which is really, getting back to the very first question you asked me at the beginning of this broadcast,
Mm-hmm.
is how I got into AI. It's all because I really wanted to build my personal brand.
Yeah.
And I was looking for the most efficient and effective way to do that.
Yeah.
And AI was the answer.
Yeah. And it's the kind of the premise of this show in itself. I've told this story a few times on this show. I got heavily criticized by some people that you're doing a radio show. Well, why would you do that? And that's the
Right.
stupidest thing I've ever heard. One, that lights a fuel under my butt. That's a fire under, not a fuel, but a fire under my butt. But secondly, all the content that comes from this show is all over LinkedIn. It's all over YouTube. It's all over TikTok. It's all over Facebook. It's all over Instagram. The exposure that I get from all the little reels and stories that I create, because this show is on video, right?
Right.
It's all about that in itself. The live audience is phenomenal. I love kind of being on the hot seat, so to speak, right?
Yep.
But all the video content, all the authority that I get, you don't think it's powerful to say, yeah, I've written a book and yeah, I have my own radio show?
That was the point I was going to make. It's not only getting the exposure through multiple channels,
Right.
but it's building your brand and your authority,
Yeah.
that people start to view you as an expert in your field. And at the end of the day, people want to work with folks that they
Yeah.
deem to be experts.
It happened just yesterday. I mean, and I was kind of gushing a little bit when I was on a first call, like a discovery call with a potential new client. And honestly, it's like, yeah, I listened to your show. And
Yeah.
I read your book. And I'm like, you're the person who's done both. But it's very flattering, though, right? But to say that and to lead in with, imagine that if you're a small business owner, entrepreneur, to kind of lead into that discovery call and say, yeah, I have my podcast. I have a book on that. It just builds you as an authority and a leader in your community and industry, right?
Right.
So that's the reason why you need to kind of consider diving into this and consider what Mo is you're being very transparent in how you're doing this.
Right. In fact, in my AI business books,
Mm-hmm.
in the preface, I tell the audience or the reader that
Mm-hmm.
this book was written with AI.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just so they know, because to me, AI, being transparent by using AI and writing this book,
Yeah.
is I think empowering to the person who might be still a little squeamish about using AI.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, in the spirit of transparency, I'm in my 50s. I think you're a little bit older.
I'm going to be 70 this summer.
You look phenomenal.
I feel phenomenal
And the thing is, it's like
when things aren't hurting.
you can't use age as a reason why you can't dive into this.
Not at all. In fact, I think it keeps my mind even sharper.
Yeah, and that was my point I was making, right? I mean, between the two of us, there's 125 years of experience, right?
Right.
You don't have an excuse. You can't use, well, I'm in my 50s, 60s, or even your 70s. I can't do this. No, you can. You
Yeah.
can. Get over it. Do it.
Right.
Jeez.
Makes you feel young.
Yeah. Have another cup of coffee and stop eating, while I take a sip of my coffee here. But yeah, and it really has reinvigorated. And, we talk about BHAGs a lot. You know.
Big,
Well,
hairy, audacious
Yeah.
goals. Yep.
One of the just when you and I have lunch, it's so inspiring. You just motivate me, and it's just. But one of the things that makes it a possibility to set goals that I've never set before is how efficient I've become, and by utilizing AI.
Yes.
So the goals that I have now are way higher than ever before in my life. Right? I'm 54 and I have bigger goals than I've ever had in my life. And I don't see like an ending to what I want to accomplish.
No, I mean, I'm a new author, basically.
Yeah.
I've done business books in the past, but I've never done a work of fiction. Stolen Valor is the first of 3 books I've already laid out. I've been thinking about Stolen Valor and the second book called Cuban Tempest for probably over 6 years now.
Yeah.
Just been thinking about it. And
Where was the first like concept of this? Weren't you on the beach?
I was on the beach in Cuba.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So
And then 6 years later, boom.
6 years later, because the tools were finally available to me
Yeah.
to really like create uh, the content of this book
Mm-hmm.
in a very quick manner, it just blew my mind. So it's just like vomiting, onto
Yeah.
the pages.
Yeah.
But even though I use AI tools to help me write, I still come up with the overall content,
Mm-hmm.
the storyline, the
Mm-hmm.
plot. I define the characters, who they are, their backgrounds.
Mm-hmm.
I create the whole world,
Mm-hmm.
and then I use AI to help
Yeah.
generate content for each chapter. But then again, I just go through it one scene at a time. So the fiction is a
Mm-hmm.
little more tedious than the business book.
Mm-hmm.
So I break down each chapter into scenes, and then I go through one scene at a time, make sure the scene is the way I want it. I edit it heavily, and so forth. And I use a whole different tool for this. It's
Mm-hmm.
called Novel Crafter,
Mm-hmm.
and fantastic. So
Yeah.
I'm just having a ball writing these works of fiction right now.
Yeah. And the other, I'm trying to think of people what their objectives are going to be. Amazon KDP is
Mm-hmm.
when you have your book finished,
Right.
that's your answer on how you're going to publish it. I don't know if I'm not going to mention him by name, but there's somebody who finished a book recently and they're not using Amazon KDP. They're going through a publisher, and I don't understand why. Because he could have already had this and been selling his book, which sounds phenomenal, already on Amazon, you know. And the thing is, like, that this is kind of, I'm holding up your first book here,
It's about 120 pages.
about 120 pages.
Mhm.
What did this cost you for your own writer's copy?
Like under $3.
Yeah, my book cost me $2.13.
Yeah.
Right. So if I want books that I've written, and I want to hand them out and give them as a, here's a guide on solopreneurship or
Right.
whatever. It cost me $2.13. But when somebody gets a book from me and it's from me and it's in their hands, it's way more valuable than $2.13.
Right.
Right. So,
Right.
and just that look on their face, like, wow, you wrote a book, and two, you're handing it to me. Again, authority. Building up your own personal brand, positioning yourself as an expert in your industry and in the community by doing things that we're spilling out to you. We're begging you to take a dive into AI, and if you're already kind of utilizing AI, go deeper, right? I mean, really get in there and just. I think the biggest limitations is probably your own imagination. What we
Ye-
can do.
Yeah, I would say if you're looking for a good place to start,
Mm-hmm.
start with replacing maybe your browser, like Google or whatever.
Yeah.
Not your browser, but your search engine.
Yeah.
And try a search engine called Perplexity.
Mm.
It's free.
Mm-hmm.
It uses ChatGPT as its back engine,
Mm.
and
Yeah.
it'll pull up much richer search results than just Google would.
Yeah. Yeah. We got one more segment left here in about 30 seconds. We're breaking the commercial. I'm your host, Sean Campbell. You're listening to the Marketing Corner. We're talking AI, entrepreneurship, and everything related to that. So we really appreciate you listening. If you're watching on TikTok, it's at sean.campbell.cmo. You want to give us a call, 520-790-2040. You're listening to the Marketing Corner. We're in the last segment of the Marketing Corner. I'm your host, Sean Campbell, special guest, Rousso. If you're watching this on YouTube or Spotify, you'll see the new logo that Lily Maddox made up for me using an AI tool. She's remarkable. So she had like 4 or 5 of these different logos, and they all were just so spot on. It was difficult trying to pick just one. But as we get into this last segment, as always, I do want to thank John, our engineer, for guiding us through this. All of our sponsors for the Marketing Corner, Bill Netherton from Professional Bartenders Unlimited, David Bradley, Medicare A to Z, Candace Eaton from C. Eaton Photography, Danny McPadden, who will be on with Sandy McPadden. I don't know who Sandy McPadden is. I wonder if that's his wife.
I don't know.
He'll be the first co-host to bring on his spouse. That'll be interesting. I wonder.
Yeah.
I got to find out what he's up to. Last Bridge Media, Juan J.D. Delgado from Roofs Are Hot, Jose Oliver, Awakening Minds LLC, of course, Mo Rousso, Executive Business Coach, and Robert Callison from eForce Marketing. Thank you all, the sponsors. Really appreciate you. And like I said, next week it's Danny and Sandy McPadden in the studio. I have a feeling we'll be talking about video. Yeah.
You would think.
I would think. I would
Yeah.
hope so anyway. I hope it doesn't want to talk about anything else. So
Yeah.
it'll be good. So
Maybe it's a marital counseling session.
oh, that'd
And
be
you
great.
get to
Really,
intermediate.
yeah. I get to mediate a little spat, or I should try to start a fight.
That would
what I
be
should
that would
do.
actually you probably get the most viewership we've had.
Let's wrap up some of our ideas on AI, Mo. I mean,
Sure.
what are some of your closing thoughts that people can take? Some words of wisdom. Again, for that somebody who's maybe not yet taken the initiative to investigate what AI can do for their business, for themselves, for their brand, or someone who's just dabbled into it. I mean, what are some final words in this last segment?
Yeah, I think if you have a business, where I would start is I'd lay out my long-term goals,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then once I feel good about what my goals are, then I would kind of lay out a plan as to how I want to achieve my goals. And then any place where you start to ask yourself a question, like, how do I do that?
Mm-hmm.
You really should be asking yourself the question is, what AI can do that for me?
Mm.
Right. So
Right.
that's kind of a
Right.
way to start thinking about that. And there's some good resources out there, or just hit me up on LinkedIn and I can point you in the right direction
Mhm.
for those kinds of things. But the whole concept, especially in the business coaching world, is lay out your goals, and then it's not it's not how it gets done or how am I going to be able to do it. It's who can I get to do that for me that's
Mhm.
probably better at it than I am.
Yep.
And then in some cases, AI will be that answer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. So and again, for me, as a marketer, not only am I utilizing to create my own content, but obviously to create my clients' content as well, right? But the thing is, the way, and I'm giving a little the secret sauce away, is that every client that I have, I need to create its own little cubbyhole, so to speak, in ChatGPT, so Chat knows that client inside and out.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, we need to create content that's in my client's voice and in their brand, not in my brand, right? Not how I would say it.
Right.
So I do, not only do I take the time, do I have taken the time to create my own space within ChatGPT, but I got to create all these subspaces, so to speak, for all my clients.
Yeah, I think they call them projects, right?
Projects, yeah, yeah. So,
Yeah.
and there's probably various ways people have done this, to similar type of workflows, but that's how I've used it, right? So, not all the content that I produce for my clients for social or newsletters or whatever that may be, it's all different. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
There's
Yeah.
different calls to action. There's different, taglines. There's, play on words for everybody's a little bit different.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you may
yeah.
want to look at those of you who are listening to us as well. You may want to look at Notebook LM,
Yeah.
the Google product,
Yeah.
because what I've done is I create notebooks for each of my clients,
Mhm.
and then within that notebook, you can upload on the free version. I think it's 50 sources of information,
Mhm.
and I think if you do the paid plan, it's 100 sources of information. But sources of information can be things that I copy and paste from ChatGPT and dump in there,
Mhm.
copies of their URLs to their websites.
Mhm.
I even have clients who will take behavioral assessments
Wow.
when I do leadership coaching with them,
Wow.
like DISC assessments.
Uh-huh.
And I'll take the results of the DISC assessments, I'll put them in a Notebook LM, and then I can manipulate those sources with the Gemini 2.0 AI that's in Notebook LM, and that's really a decent
Mhm.
AI tool.
Mhm.
And then create development plans for them, refine CTAs. I mean, whatever it might be.
Right.
Yeah, but it's all so well organized in there that I think Notebook LM is a wonderful tool that
Mhm.
people should really consider looking at and potentially using, not only in their business, but
Mhm.
just for their own personal productivity.
Yeah. Maybe we should have a seminar, maybe an 8 to 10 person little workshop one day.
Happy to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, we should do that.
it's cool. It's
Yeah.
yeah.
We're kind of just thinking about it on the fly here. So.
No, it's yeah. I would like to do it with all within the context of the
Mhm.
of a business expo we've been talking about.
Right.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
We can
Yeah.
have an AI workshop as part of that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, a lot of the stuff on the horizon for us, and we've been meeting a lot the last, a handful of months about stuff that we can do, and it's all predicated on, stuff that we're discovering each and every day.
Hmm.
And I think the big overriding takeaway from this is not necessarily AI, but to keep yourself fresh.
Yes.
Keep yourself motivated and keep yourself hungry. And it doesn't matter how old you are, what point you are in your career. If you want to stay relevant, you gotta make it happen. Gotta make
Yeah.
it happen. So, one of the things when I get up every morning, even on the weekends, is like, who's out to take my lunch today? You know what I mean? It's like, who's out to take my lunch? And I'm not going to let that happen.
No, I mean the way I look at it, especially since I'm a little bit more advanced in my years than you are, is that my personal philosophy is the day I stop learning is the day I need to lie down and die.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
I'm in there 100%, both feet
yeah,
in the deep end, whatever analogy you want to use.
yeah,
I'm all in with
yeah,
this.
yeah, yeah. Well, what do you think's on the horizon? Have you thought about that yet, Mo? As far as maybe AI and the tools that are kind of on the cusp, but do you have any, predictions of by the end of 2025, and we're going to see these type of tools emerge? Have you thought about that?
Yeah, there'll be more tools. I think you're going to start seeing more wearable devices that are
Yeah,
AI enabled.
yeah,
You're not going to look at your phone screen anymore,
right.
right? Because you'll
Yeah.
have something like those Ray-Ban glasses
Mm-hmm.
that'll be displaying the information to you, or whatever that might be. But I think wearable AI, and then if any of you have read any of the books, like the cyberpunk kind of books with the characters in those novels that have um, chips embedded at their
Mm-hmm.
in their brain stems and things like that. It's all gonna start happening that way. In
Yeah.
fact, I think Elon Musk has a company called Neuralink.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that they're already experimenting with a human
Mm-hmm.
artificial intelligence interface through
Yeah.
putting devices in people's brains.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm with you on the wearable AI stuff, wearable, with our glasses. And I think I think the AI, admittedly, is going to get much more advanced, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think it'll become much more intuitive. I think it was going to incorporate a lot more of what other, you know, like for instance, if I'm driving around and I ask Meta how long to my destination, it can't do that for me. So that's one thing that I think it will eventually be. Now, can I use my phone and ask Gemini? Then I can do that, right? So the
Right.
combination of the two is a nice blend,
Mm-hmm.
for me. But what's the best route? There's a lot of things. I really do love my glasses. They're making life easier. It is funny when I wear my sunglasses and I'm trying to call somebody and I forget what pair I'm, wearing.
Right, 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 right.
But other than that, I highly recommend. Again, it's keeping me staying on the forefront. So
That's right.
yeah.
Yeah, I think if you look out maybe 10 years, then
Mm.
I think car ownership is going to completely change. I don't think people will be owning cars anymore. I
No.
think you're going to have a
Mm.
robot car
Yeah.
dispatched to you when you need a ride somewhere. It's going to pull up to your house, pick you up, take you where you want to go,
Yeah.
drop you off, and
Yeah.
and
That'll
then
be
go
it.
to a recharging station
Yeah.
somewhere while it's waiting
Yeah.
for the next thing.
I
Yeah.
better sell my car before then.
I wouldn't, as a consumer, like if you like go off roading and stuff, you're not going to
Right.
have a robot thing do that.
Right.
But if I was Jim Click and I was a car dealer, I'd start thinking about
Yeah.
changing my business model.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. You gave Jim Click advice in my radio show today.
Uh oh.
No one's done that before.
Well, if you're listening, Jim, we're
Yeah.
here. We're here to help you. We got your back.
We got your back, Mr. Click. 2 minutes left in the show, guys. I really appreciate everybody tuning in today. Any predictions for the Arizona BYU game tonight?
Arizona by 12.
By 12. Yeah. Are you going to stay up to watch all of it?
Yeah, I'll stay
Yeah.
up.
I
I
probably
won't
won't.
go because
Yeah.
it's a drive from my house.
Yeah. Yeah. So
I had tickets.
I want to try to stay up and watch it.
Yeah.
And we're doing pretty well in this conference of ours.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
We're number 2 in the conference.
March Madness is around the corner. I think we're better equipped now more than ever because we're not playing the Stanfords and the Cals and those guys. I mean, we're hardened. I mean, we're playing good teams almost every game. It's a fight.
If we ever find our outside shooting stroke again,
We play defense though.
we do play defense.
We do play nice defense. Good team defense.
We get downhill really well.
Yeah. I think we're one of the more athletic teams.
Absolutely.
In the conference,
You watch guys like KJ.
Yeah. So
he gets to the basket at will.
I have to admit, I'm more excited now than what I thought I'd be from the beginning of the season to now. The way the teams matured and played together and kind of come together against the best teams in the best conference in the country. So
I know. Yeah, I was really proud of the way they played Houston, and they could have actually won that game.
Yeah. A loss against Houston at home is not something to be. No, Houston's phenomenal. They're really, really good.
And you look at the perennial powerhouse like KU, Kansas.
Oh, I don't know.
And
don't we got them like next week?
It's the last game of the season. Yeah. We play them at Kansas.
Yeah, we got them. We got them. So, thank you all for listening to the Marketing Corner. Mo, thank you for being here again.
Absolutely, happy to come on anytime.
Yeah, we'll be back here in another month or so. I'm your host, Sean Campbell. Be sure to tune in next week, same time, same place, 10:30 a.m., 11 to noon, Marketing Corner.